The President of the Council. We resume. Mandatory Provident Fund Schemes Amendment Bill 2019, third reading. Kwang Chun-Yu. President, today is the last council meeting of this term, so I'm honored to be speaking here. And we are now discussing the Mandatory Provident Schemes Amendment Bill 2019. As I said last time, I am totally against the scheme. I'm for universal retirement protection. And now I have to speak within a narrow scope. Now, the eMPF platform company, the 12 schemes will be unified under this electronic platform. I don't have faith in it. Hong Kong people will be taken for a ride. Now, the MPF is for a safeguard during retirement, and government said that this is one of the 3 pillars. The MPF, private savings, this is claimed as an achievement. But however, the MPF doesn't even catch up with inflation. It has been fruitless. This is a small step. And now you say you have a centralized electronic platform. The streamlining of the procedures will enable you to look at your performance. It's been 20 years, and this is supposed to be a great step forward. The centralized electronic platform, well, we have only 4 hours. We can't say that much. But at the third reading stage, I can tell you that this MPF scheme is no safeguard for retirement protection. Many elderly, they scavenge for cardboard and cans. Mr. Kwong, please come back to this topic. I have the duty to remind you that we are not debating the pros and cons of the MPF schemes, but the amendment bill itself. This is the last evening. So I will stick to this topic. Now, I was interrupted by you 4 times yesterday. I only spoke 15 minutes. President, now I'm wholly against the MPF schemes. I'm talking about the amendment. It's supposed to reduce administration fee. You know that the administration fee is expensive. The fund companies are always the winners under the scheme. The losers are the employees. You tell us that the annual registration fees will not be shouldered by the scheme members. Now, this will be a step for canceling the offset of the MPF benefits. Now, the employers fire the employees and they can offset against the MPF benefits. Now, you have done this for 20 years. It's a failure. You should immediately embark upon universal retirement protection. Now, you're supposed to have the benefits by age 65. Now, you let me look at the poor performance on the electronic platform to see how much money I've lost. You say that it doesn't matter. You have to take the long-term perspective. That's what you say. And even when I'm suffering a major illness, I cannot withdraw the benefits, only under several conditions. and you have the centralized platform. So I have to mention the platform every now and then. It's useless. I just see how much money I've lost. For the first 3 months this year, each employee loses $37,000. The fund companies make big money. The total assets of the fund industry, $967 billion. Now, the secretary is new in his job. Now, this is a tough job for him. It has all sorts of problems. Now we are at third reading stage. I tell you that the MPF schemes must progress towards universal retirement protection. You tell us that the platform will reduce the administration fees. It's beneficial, but it's only relative. The scheme, in fact, is all wrong. It's in the wrong direction. Now, you are asking us to discuss the centralized electronic platform. I'm not against that. It's good to simplify procedures and lower the costs. Now, the Hong Kong government sits upon so much in reserves, and we have 1 million people who are poor. When we talk about universal retirement protection, you tell us about the MPF schemes. Now, this is robbing the people. I have to remind you, Mr. Kwong, we are in the third reading debate. You are supposed to discuss whether to support or oppose the bill, not about the pros and cons of the schemes. Thank you. Now, this is the last time we discuss this in third reading stage. The amendments are already discussed in committee stage. The third reading stage is for members to say whether you are overall supportive or opposing to the bill. Correct. The bill is a small step. The eMPF platform company now it's supposed to enable people to know how much money they have using advanced technology. But why? What benefit does it have when we are losing so much money for employees? It's very simple. Half the money is for paying rent, and they have to pay for their meals and transportation, and then we have to pay towards the MPF schemes and the electronic platform. The MPF authority chief executive earns millions of dollars in salaries. So let's supervise the MPFA. Now, it's supposed to be a private company. Now, the council is merely engaged in amendments, but it doesn't resolve the problem. We have more and more poor people. Why don't we have universal retirement protection? This is only transitional. I'm wholly against the MPF schemes. Everyone knows that you are losing money. The fund companies lose the money and no one is responsible. The centralized electronic platform only enables us to see how much money we have lost. How do we support the bill? Now, you say we have saved some money. Now, you give us one small benefit, but we lose a whole lot to you. It has lost so heavily for the accumulated benefits. There's overall only $180,000 left. The centralized electronic platform. You are trying to, you are repeating yourself. If the government is indeed sincere in this amendment bill, well, of course we are not against the increase in transparency, but given the epidemic, when the government presents a bill about the MPF, it's not just a reduction. They admit that too. In the past, the costs are easily transferred to the employees. And now that's corrected. The bill offers more protection to the employees' own money. That's a good small beginning. Now, in the past and in the future, I hope that the government, you might present an amendment bill, and every time it's just a very minor and small improvement. Now, this company is to set up an electronic platform so that people can have a grasp of how much assets they have. Now, all people's savings, all the savings of the citizens are resting with this fund, with this scheme. MPF stands for high administration cost. Now you're saying you're reducing the cost. 28 schemes. That involves 12 schemes, and it's an administration platform. It will be transparent. There's an important message. If you are working towards canceling the offset of the MPF benefits, please hasten with that. Over the past 18 years, $36.5 billion have been left, have been lost. And the MPF benefits are supposed to be offset against severance and long-term awards. Now, the industry earns $14.1 billion. Now, some members say that's not a lot. The fact is the fund companies always win. The employees lose. What they get at age 65 is very little. The money is not sufficient to support our retirement. So the SAR government should reflect seriously. Instead of presenting amendment bills, why don't you go back to the root problem? You know there's population aging. The MPF schemes is so problematic. You should change it. You should have universal retirement protection. Everyone will be entitled to the money. It will save a lot of administrative costs. Now there's screening for the OALA. Now it's tens of millions in cost. So it's better to just give it to the elderly and to the poor. I've only 1 minute left. I will open my heart and tell you, instead of trying to rescue this problematic scheme, now you only please the fund people. Now you should let the scheme progress to universal retirement protection. That is a social consensus. Professor Nelson Chow already made the calculations. So why trouble the people every time? Those are the hard-earned money of the employees. They are saved in their accounts, and the fund companies make so much. They are not held responsible for the losses, so that it can't even catch up with inflation. Universal retirement protection is much more simple.
Dr. Priscilla Leung, President, I speak in support of the third reading of the Mandatory Provident Fund Schemes Amendment Bill 2019. I think we should focus our attention on the eMPF platform. We shouldn't waste any time filibustering. We shouldn't paralyze the council for 6 months, and we have to rush into this now. We have education, the MTR MTR fare structure, and the MPF. These are the three massive mountains that we have to do something about. Now, Mr. Secretary, you are proposing this eMPF platform. I would support progressive reforms, but I do think we should be moving like a snail. We shouldn't be moving at snail's pace. And the three mountains that I mentioned, we are facing the same problem. The Secretary failed to answer my question yesterday. I hope that the Secretary will step up monitoring of the eMPF platform as a result of being established, so that everyone who is so busy every day would have easy access to this e-platform to know upon retirement or different stages how much they have in the pot. Many people can only see the statement which is the same year after year. I don't think I can agree with Mr. Roy Kwong that the platform is good for nothing. I hope that the government will bite the bullet and reform the system. Will the government have the political will to take up the responsibility to make sure that the risks will be minimized and people will have choices that risk-free? Other than the ECA, we should have some genuine choices. People don't have much of a choice, and they are held over the barrel, and they don't have any choice. In this eMPF platform, will you be able to do something about it? This is the sentiments of the public. This is the aspiration of the general public. Secretary, if you can't answer my question today, I understand that you're new to the post. You have to face up to this issue. You cannot shy away from it. And this is a significant issue for the public. You should not move at a glacial pace. You have to be committed. You have to have the courage to face up to the issue and come up with a radical reform of the system. I support the third reading, but I hope that the Secretary will follow up on the aspirations of the members of the public and should not slacken this effort.
Honorable Felix Chung. We now on the third reading of the Mandatory Provident Fund Schemes Amendment Bill 2019. As the Secretary have just assumed office, may I remind you there was a MPF Amendment Bill 2015. Well, that bill was passed in 2016, the last year of the previous term, which set up the default investment strategy, which to call it the lazy band scheme. Well, one of the reasons of setting up the DIS and hope that the management fees can be fixed within a certain percentage. The administration claimed that was set at 0.75%. And also that uncapped miscellaneous charge. Well, the LegCo do it anyway. That 0.75% plus 2% for the fund companies. One of the main reasons we're able to set up this centralized platform would reduce all kind of charges, especially on paperwork, and also to digitize them. Well, even the fund companies will see that able to reduce the costs and fees. Of course, we're all for it. So on behalf of the Liberal Party, we'll support the third reading of this amendment bill. May I remind the Secretary, though, back then the government also promised that after set up the centralized platform and will undertake another review of the DIS of the cap at 0.75 and 0.2% with room for reduction. So I would like to remind the Secretary, so he may not be aware of this part of history. I hope that the next term of LegCo, when we return, the government would promise that the government would review the cap on 0.75% plus 0.2% and for further reduction. They will affect the other fund companies and the other fund products. If they're able to reduce the charges on this, they will also drag down the fees of other funds. If everyone is around 0.7% or even lower, and each year there will be 140 million of costs, maybe half of that, around 70 million, which would be a great help to MPF account holders. I so submit.
Voting on.
Mr. Chiu Ka-chun. Thank you. Chairman, I speak to oppose to the Mandatory Provident Fund Scheme Amendment Bill 2019. I won't use all my 15 minutes, but I would go over the reasons why I oppose to it. I think this legislative exercise boils down to one thing. They want to reform the platform. They said that this platform will be run on a non-profit making basis. And they would prohibit approved trustees to shift the cost of the annual registration fee to scheme members. I don't think that this amendment will address the problems of high administration costs and poor performance. A lot of employees are forced to join the investment market. Everyone is an investor now. They have handed their hard-earned money to investment companies, and the money is pegged to the performance of equity markets. Some people said that the setting up of this platform will enhance information transparency. But a lot of the highly educated people don't know how to manage their MPF accounts, let alone grassroots. They don't have the skills or the expertise to manage their funds. But the MPF forces them to put their money into the equity market. They have to shoulder their own risks. What does this eMPF platform do to them? They don't like using electronic platforms. They would personally go to the post office to make payment. But now you give them another electronic platform. It won't serve any benefit to people who don't know about investment. The offsetting mechanism further eats into the retirement protection. If they changed jobs maybe a couple more times, there is nothing left. So the MPF doesn't do much to enhance their retirement protection. The MPF authority and the wholly owned subsidiary will make a lot of profit. I have to ask, it's been many years since the MPF has been put in place. They rely on the operation of a private market. They said that this is an important pillar to retirement protection. To protect who? They amend the law just to better protect MPF authorities, the MPF authority, rather than to protect employees. Now you want to build another platform under this system. They said that employees can choose the trustees of their preference. It will give incentive for trustees to compress costs and to perform better to attract customers. That is an assumption. But what is reality? That's not how the MPF system works here. The administration fee is much higher than other countries with a similar system. The MPF market is a monopoly. There may be 14 approved trustees, but the biggest ones account for a lion's share of the market. If they refuse to reduce their fees, other trustees will have no incentive to reduce the fees. Trustees will now be charged 0.03% of their net asset value. The government doesn't undertake that this amendment exercise will reduce administration fees. The extra money will go to the pocket of the MPF authority. Will it indeed drive down administration fees? There is no guarantee. A lot of the trustees and investment companies already have an online platform. Still, most people will do their transactions on a paper basis. Why do they think that the establishment of the platform will get people to switch to paperless transaction? If people don't switch to electronic transaction, does it mean that they can put in more money to try to promote it, only to see the money going into the pocket of the authority? They said that they want to make use of the private market to diversify and to enhance competition so that employees can make preparation for their retirement. They said that service operators will try to formulate a competitive product. We have 417 constituent funds and 14 trustees. Is this the picture they'd like to see? Management fees should be driven down by competition, but it hasn't. They now allow the authority to set up a wholly owned subsidiary, to set up a central platform. The government asked the public to give it another chance. But there is no undertaking, there is no promise. It's a bottomless pit. How many more times will the government lie and deceive the public? How many times do I have to tell the government for them to understand that the market is not a panacea? The market is not the most efficient. It's been 20 years. The government in the end have to intervene to take up coordination and management. So 20 years has been wasted. How many people have fallen victim to this system? How many people have lost their hard-earned money to the investment? Mr. Xu, this is not a debate, and this is not a debate about the merit and demerit of the MPF system. Please come back to the third reading. Yes, I'm talking about the amendment. You are not here to talk about the amendment, and you have already gone through all those points. Please be succinct. What the government need to do most is not to set up an electronic transaction platform, is not to ask the authority to take up more work by forming a wholly owned subsidiary. They need to address the aspirations of the public by providing a diversified number of pillars of protection. They should abolish the MPF. There should be a central Provident fund set up, or even a universal retirement protection to help people who don't know how to operate an electronic platform. This universal retirement protection should cover everyone, including homemakers. Secretary, I'm sure that no matter who will be sitting here today, the Pan-Democrats will continue to fight for universal retirement protection. I so submit.
Does any other member wish to speak? Dr. Kokaki. This is very ironic. The MPF schemes have been in place for 20 years. Now, what's its purpose? 20 years ago, when it was introduced, the employees are supposed to have the ability to enjoy a safe retirement, and now the CE benefits only, earning $6 million a month. Now we are talking about the third reading of the bill. I'm against the third reading. Do you hear me? I'm against third reading. Do you hear me? He has finally heard me. This third reading is most ironic. Many elderly people, they are waiting to have a secure retirement. Now we are talking about 0.03%. It's supposed to be benefit. Originally, it's supposed to be 0.05. Now this is a farce. Those who benefit most are the fund managers, the trustees, 14 companies. Now the petrol stations always make a lot of money. They raise prices quickly but reduce slowly. Same for the 14 trustees. They sit together so they will not reduce their fees. They make money for sure. They just sit there and collect the profits. It's been 20 years. The government still hasn't waken up. Just now, Priscilla Leung said that the government should be a manager. Now we should have universal retirement protection. The scholars proposed a plan. The money should be handed to the Hong Kong Monetary Authority for investment. The returns should average over 5%. This has been said. The pro-establishment camp will not say that to the government. Now, why am I against the third reading? You can talk to the elderly, the poor people. you have an MPF electronic platform. They can't even use mobile phones. Now, they queue up to withdraw money from the bank using passbooks. Now, what does the electronic platform benefit? It's just the fund managers, the large insurance companies. Now, you cannot make a change. These elderly people, they don't know even how to press a button. It's the big funds that benefit. The electronic platform being paperless, it sounds nice. Now, these people, they don't know how much money they have made or lost. This year, they lose 20 or 30% and they don't know. They just feel that they are unlucky. Please come back to this debate. I'm against the third reading. This system kills, robs people of their livelihood. The richest people, they make $14 billion a year. It's easy money. Hong Kong has some of the highest administration fees among funds in Hong Kong. And you say you have designed a lazy people's fund strategy. And in fact, that yields a lower return than the others. So the fund managers benefit either way. The government doesn't look after the grassroots, the workers, the laborers. It's been 20 years. They've been deceived by you for 20 years. And now you launch a platform that you deceive them against 10 years, 20 years. C.L. Leung, Carrie Lam, Lord Chi Kwong, it's all lies. They talk about universal retirement protection, but all came to nothing. Now, it's $14 billion a year, and it's very sizable when you annualize it. All the money made is by them. It's for them. The government is totally insensitive, and it has the cheek to say that the MPF is one of the 3 pillars for the people. It's shameful. Lord Chi Kwong doesn't sit here. He's a professor. I don't know whether you studied. Those who make the most are those in the upper echelons of society. They control everything. Come back to the topic, please. I'm against third reading because it cannot achieve the original purpose. We are not talking about the original purpose of the MPF. If you don't come back to the debate, okay, I will. This is the last evening. We cannot see the original purpose being achieved. You do so much. You introduce an amendment to reduce the administration fee. It's supposed to benefit whom? Of course, the beneficiaries, not the management companies. Those who put a few $100, a few $1,000 into the fund every month, you should try to help those people. There have been different proposals like that by Professor Chow. But what I must say is that the government is totally being absurd in taking advantage of the employees. It hasn't fulfilled its responsibility. 2046 plan. You have universal retirement protection. The government will not lose so much. The only cost is that the fund managers will not make the money they have been making. The insurance company, like that of Mr. Chan Kim Po. Now, if you don't have money, you can get CSSA. If you lose your job, get CSSA. Now, we will be merciful this year. We will relax about the means test this year. A few years ago, they say that CSSA caused people to be lazy. And now you say, well, CSSA is the solution. Yesterday, Carrie Lam said, I have fulfilled all my policy objectives. Now, that's really a shameful boast. The elderly people, so they are going to collect CSSA. You tell them that you will improve retirement protection, you will offer cancellation of the offset of MPF benefits. Please come back to the topic. You have strayed afar. Okay, I will just take 1 minute. I am against third reading, against this totally immoral government that exploits those poorest people. Mr. Leung Yu-chung.
President, we come to a stage where we are debating the third reading of the Mandatory Provident Fund Schemes Amendment Bill 2019. The purpose of the bill is to empower the MPFA to set up a wholly owned subsidiary, that is the MPF Platform Company, and the administrative work will be handled electronically. I heard from Dr. Priscilla Leung. She said she would support the third reading of the bill, mainly because this MPF platform will enable the working people to get access to their investment through the platform. This is a step in the right direction. And the working people who otherwise wouldn't have an idea about their assets in the fund would be able to get grips with the information. So she would support this proposal. I'd like to say to Dr. Leung that she's got it wrong. It is good that the working people would know about their investment status, but so what? This MPF is an investment project. The investment returns will go up and they will come down. What if they know about it? It doesn't help at all. It's not like buying equity. If the shares go up, they can offload the shares. If they are making a loss, they can try to cut the loss, but they cannot do anything with the MPF fund. They have to keep investing into it until they hit 65. Each year, the working people may know that they are sustaining a severe loss. What can they do? They can ask the trustees to switch to some other investment funds, but the scope would be really limited. It's not the case that you can name a stock and you'll be able to buy it, and it would be hard for you to switch your investment plan. if you were to say that with the e-platform, you will be able to get access to more information, and this is really a very flimsy reason for support. And this is not what the working population will expire. So I do think it is not good enough to support this on this ground. As I said during the second reading debate, with this platform, will the administration be able to tell us whether the administrative costs will be scaled back? And the savings, will the savings be passed on to the working population? I haven't heard any direct response on the part of the administration. So with this e-platform, I can't see what benefits this will bring. Dr. Priscilla Leung said that people will get to know the investment status, but so what? There are many issues raised by my fellow colleagues. The administrative costs are used to pay for the fund managers, and there is no guarantee that people will make a profit. Over the years, people more often than not make losses than achieve any gains. By the time people hit 65, will they be able to preserve their capital? I cannot see with this proposed amendment to set up the eMPF platform how it will benefit the investment returns for the fund members. As I said during the second reading debate, Mr. President, with this platform in December 2018, the government did seek $3.3 billion to develop this system, and in 2019, in December, $530 billion have been dispersed. $4 billion have been taken up for this project. This is not a lot of money for the government, but this is a lot of money for the general public. If you spend the $4 billion on welfare purposes, it will mean quite a lot of money benefiting an awful lot of people. But the government is not doing this. They are investing money into this scheme. As I said, what benefits will this platform bring to the working population, other than being able to get more information about the scheme, about the fund? I cannot really see how members can bring themselves to support this proposal on such flimsy ground. So if the administration really does want to improve the MPF, then they should have done something else. I'm not trying to digress, Mr. President. The government has been trying to improve the MPF since its inception in 2000. The government has been endeavoring to make improvement, but it seems that they are tinkering around the edges. And we haven't seen any major achievements, like the offsetting arrangement. We don't even have any concrete plan for achievement. Dr. C.K. Law said that it is not far off. We're not sure how long we're going to be waiting for. This is the end of the term. We still haven't been told about the timetable for the abolition of the offsetting arrangement. How's that? This was talked about when this term of administration took office. You're not dealing with the major issue, and you're dealing with these minor issues. What's the point of doing it? We want to have something concrete that will really benefit the working population. Everything seems to be very vague, and there is nothing tangible that will be beneficial to the workers. I wonder why the government has to get on with this. Well, there's nothing wrong. To do is better than nothing. But you are going to all these considerable expenditure. So it begs the question, is it worth doing it? I can't say that it is something that's worth doing. Rather, I think the government should be more pragmatic and do something that they should get on with. But we haven't heard any plan on the part of the government in this regard. And this is the last night we have in this term. And over the past 24 years, myself, Leung Yu-chung, has been here all these years, and this is my last night here. I cherish this opportunity. I'd like to say to the administration that I hope they will show more care and concern for the underprivileged, for their plight. The working people, they toil really hard for their entire life, for really pittance. And they put in such long hours. All they want is nothing more than having some money for their retirement in their twilight years. But as of now, the MPF is no substitute for retirement protection money, and they are desperate in retirement. They don't know what life is in store for them beyond 65. I'm saying this in earnest to the administration. Why can't you be more pragmatic and really do something for the working population in Hong Kong and come up with something that would set them at ease in retirement? Please, do not just do this for show and tinker around the edges. And I think you do need to improve the system. Please do not delude yourself. Please do not do this ornamental work. I will lose my platform to talk to you about this. But will you please, first of all, abolish the offsetting arrangement as a matter of urgency, and second, you will set up a universal retirement protection that will be really truly beneficial to the working population, which will set their mind at ease. Will this be done? President, I may have gone off a tangent, but I hope you understand that tonight is my last time to speak. I do earnestly hope that since the government says that they are caring for the people and that they will really do something for the grassroots people, for the disadvantaged, so that they will have a better life in retirement. President, with these words, I end my speech.
Mr. Eddie Chu. Thank you, President. Well, Mr. Leung Yu-chung was very sincere. However, in the face of a legislator not popularly elected, why bother? I hope that the Hong Kong people would come out to topple them. Well, because they were toppled, they will offer you anything. Universal retirement protection they would give you a long time ago. Well, Hong Kong people haven't got to the stage to frighten them. Well, that means we should work harder, and we should kick out those on my left in this September. May I remind you the election is coming soon, and you may run in the election as you won in the primary. What you have to be careful what you said. Well, it was claimed that primary is not part of the election. Have you listened to the Electoral Affairs Commission? You may in breach of the election ordinance. It is a well-intended reminder. Thank you. I don't know if I can able to see you next time round, but thanks anyway. Well, speaking of primaries, we're not talking about primaries, but not probably the election itself. Well, sorry. I just want to remind you. I'm talking about why we object to this third reading. Well, we are having a third reading on the MPF Schemes Amendment Bill 2019. Well, why object to the third reading? Because last week, and I had a personal experience. Well, I took part in something that required e-technology. A lot of the elderly, even though they required to go electronic to do something, I'm not going to make it explicit, which everyone will need to be accompanied by a volunteer holding a smartphone or iPad and helping them to punch the buttons before you can complete it. Well, even though you set up a centralized platform, doesn't mean you can help the intended beneficiaries. Are you expecting to hire an extra 30 or 40,000 to help those 65 plus or the computer illiterate and help them to press the buttons? Well, let's say that I would like to use this e-platform. Can you help me, or let me get to your place and help you to get to the platform through your smartphone? So are we creating job opportunities? Well, as a first-hand experience, for government to create this thing is definitely a failure. Well, I'm someone who doesn't know my MPF balance. I worked in so much positions, so my MPF accounts are in a mess. Well, you offer me an MPF platform is probably pointless. First, I think it's quite complicated. Looking at this bill, I don't quite understand. Well, even if I get this bill, I will not get more money from it, and you came to cut the administration expenses. If I only have like 5 digits in my account, let's say administration costs of 5% or 4.5%, probably not much difference. Well, the government would like to authorize the MPFA through this bill to go forward the centralized platform. Well, they're using something complicated to replace another complicated thing, which doesn't really address the complexity. At the same time, you're hiring an extra group of people or a large group of people to supervise another group of people. Well, maybe 8 to 10 years ago. I hope the public would understand. Just look at the movie Johnny Toe. There's a role played by former artist where she visits a bank and was misled by Denise Ho and put her life savings. And all the fund managers and the trustees all together, they are taking away your life savings, according to the Johnny Cho movie Life Without Principle. A lot of colleagues before me have said, we're asking for something simple. Well, when I retire at 65, I would like to stay alive. I need to punch my calculator and how much you spend to go to movies, go yum cha, or go travel occasionally. Mr. Edich, can you please return to the debate? We just want to figure out a simple way for us to have a life after retirement. While this electronic platform or whatever you call it would not take this forward. Thus, I described it as someone who's already passed away. Well, that person is diseased, and yet you put lipstick on that person's face and if to make it prettier. Well, a dead person, even if you spend money and set up a e-platform or having more people to serve him, it will not bring that person back to life. Why I objected to this bill? Asking me that you receive a lot of letters from 10 different companies, and that we set up a platform company while you can access online. Would that be a good thing? Well, if you're asking such a closed-end question, of course I'll say it's harmless. Well, for the big picture, well, when it comes to third reading, I'm pretty certain that for those who understand this bill or would frequently log into this centralized platform, like Dr. Priscilla Leung said, to achieve the intended effect, that the most of them would not rely on MPF to retirement. They themselves are knowledgeable and with talent. They wouldn't imagine rely on MPF. They probably resort to other means. So you are creating something they're not able to allow the disadvantaged and for those without means to protect their post-retirement life. Well, finally, please give me an extra minute. Well, the government has been on the wrong track all along. Well, it knew that it was on the wrong track for the MPF. Well, how it is deliberate. Well, it's not really for the retirement protection. In the first place, well, it's like, well, 2 to 3 decades ago, well, it's just want to securitize everything so that you have some transactions in the financial markets. It's something the government not serious on environmental protection, and this for years has been selling a lot of green bonds. Well, are you really serious about carrying the planet Earth? You just want to create another tool and like some kind of financial instrument to create some jobs. And when your MPF doesn't really work out, well, after filibustering by until Leung Kwo-hin, then we're finally offering the old age living allowance. So after the old age living allowance, you decided to claw back some money. That's why you're introducing the annuity. Well, the MPF had failed, and then the OALA keep on spending government's money. When it comes to the annuity, well, when I get to 65, I don't want to learn something. I know that I worked all my life. Well, President, I already get to 65. Well, you get 65 pretty soon. You are quite well off. Well, when poor people get to 65, they simply just want to know that after contributing all his life to the society, and what can I take back from the society to let me live in dignity for the rest of my life? Well, this amendment bill definitely will not achieve this. On the other hand, it continued to stay on the wrong track. If you ask me, well, the offsetting arrangement asks you to just docking less money from the MPF accounts. Is this not the right direction? Like a lot of pandemics, without universal protection, then we shouldn't talk. I don't understand why those in the FTU would support putting lipstick on a dead person as a solution. No wonder they've been despised by the Hong Kong workers. I so submit.
Does any other member wish to speak? Secretary, would you like to speak? I now put the question to you that the Mandatory Provident Fund Scheme Amendment Bill 2019 to be read a third time. Mr. Eddie G claims the division. The bell will ring for 5 minutes.
請各位同事將
Members, please turn your mobile phone to silent.
開始表決。
Members, please proceed to vote. Please check your votes. If there are no queries, voting will stop. Result will be displayed. 62 present, 43 for, 18 against. The question is agreed by majority of members present. I declare the motion passed. Mandatory Provident Fund Schemes Amendment Bill 2019.
政府法案，本會恢復20
Government bills. This council resumes the second reading debate.